So go ahead and just come to a nice, comfortable seat. If that's cross-legged, if that's up on your knees, you could actually even start lying down on your mat or in child's pose. Just whatever feels comfortable for you right now and what feels good in your body. And I just want you to start to connect with your breath. So start taking deep inhales and then deep exhales. Just match your inhales with your exhales. Go ahead and close your eyes. And I just want you to kind of take stock. I want you to feel where your breath is going. Is your breath shallow? Is it in your chest? Is it in your ribs? Is it down in your belly? If it is in your chest and it's shallow, can you move it? While you're sitting here, I also want you to think about having nice, good, tall posture, elongating your spine, reaching the crown of your head to the ceiling. I don't want you dumping your belly forward or rounding back. Try and find a nice neutral pelvis where you're sitting on your sits bones and you're taking out that curve and the rounding in your low back. And while you're breathing, I'm just going to read over you. I'm going to read from Romans 12 from the Message translation. So here's what I want you to do. God helping you take your everyday, ordinary life, your sleeping, eating, going to work, and walking around life, and place it before God as an offering. Embracing what God does for you is the best thing you can do for Him. Don't become so well adjusted to your culture that you fit into it without even thinking. Instead, fix your attention on God. You'll be changed from the inside out. Readily recognize what He wants from you and quickly respond to it. Unlike the culture around you, always dragging you down to its level of immaturity, God brings the best out of you, develops well-formed maturity in you. So I want you to just think for a second, what areas of your life is God calling you to submit for His transformation so that you're not like the culture around you? I know there's a lot of fear right now with everything that's going on. So how can we be different? How can we transform ourselves? Now I want you, if you are in a seated position, I want you to come back into child's pose. Just sitting yourself down onto your heels, reaching your hands out in front of you, resting your forehead down onto the mat. And continuing to take those deep breaths. Inhale. And on an exhale, I want you to walk your hands to the right, keeping your body where it is, just moving your arms, and you're getting a nice stretch through your left side body. Pinning your knees to the ground. Bring that breath into the side body, opening it up. Exhale back to center. Take an inhale. And then exhale to the left. Walk your hands to the left. You can even put your right hand on top of your left hand, pinning it down to the ground. Breathing into that side body. Inhaling and exhaling, come back to center. from here, we're going to go into a rabbit pose. So rabbit, we're going to go onto the top of our head to stretch our neck, but I don't want you putting any weight on your head. So you can put your palms down, so you're kind of in a tabletop position, and bring your head down to the ground and round your back. Or you can keep your heels, keep your tush on your heels, bring your head down, grab the back of your heels, and then rounding your back here. Again, not putting any pressure on your head. Breathing. And release. And we're going to come up to a tabletop position, so wrists below your shoulders, knees below your hips. You can bring your knees apart a bit so they're about hip width distance. And we're going to do a few cat-cows. So on an inhale, you're engaging your low belly. So think about a little kid coming and about to headbutt you and how you would engage your belly with that. So I want you to keep your belly engaged, but I want you to initiate this movement from your tailbone. So you're going to move your tailbone to the sky. Try and bring your collarbone between your shoulders. This is cow pose. And then I want you to exhale, round your back into cat pose. Inhaling, initiating the movement from your tailbone again. And exhaling, tucking that tailbone, rounding your back, really pushing the ground away and tucking your chin into your chest, cat. And just move on your own breath. So if you're moving faster than I am, that's fine. If you're moving slower, that's fine too. You can even take some kind of more fluid movements, kind of wiggle a little bit if it feels good. Find where you need to move. Find those sticky spots. few more. Inhaling, exhaling. Last round. Cow and cat. And come back to neutral, tabletop. And right now we're going to thread the needle. So you're going to really push down into that left hand, engaging your belly still, and you're going to keep your low body right where it is. So you're going to lift your right arm up, and then you're going to thread your arm through and under so that your shoulder comes down right behind your palm. And then just gently rest your head on the mat. And you can stay here with your hand here. You can reach your hand up overhead, not putting any pressure on your head or neck. Or if you'd like to take a bind, you can bring your hand, palm back, thumb down, and try and reach that opposite hip crease. Twists can be a difficult place to breathe. Make sure you're not holding your breath. And if you need to take audible exhales, do that. Whatever feels good. Wherever that hand is, bring it down, bring your palm down, push through your palm, come back up, lift your arm up to the sky, and come back down. Spider on my mat. We're gonna do the other side. So really grip your fingers. I like to claw my mat. And then lift your left arm up to the sky. And then we're just gonna thread our arm through, shoulder behind, opposite wrist. Not putting any pressure on that head. All of the weight should be in your shoulder. Leave your arm there or bring it overhead. Don't let your hips sway over. You want to keep them over your knees. Or you can take that half bind again, trying to find that opposite hip crease. Don't forget to breathe. Two more breaths. Release that hand down, lift back up, untwist, and come back to tabletop. From here, we're just gonna walk our hands forward into a puppy pose. So you can keep your hips where they are and you can walk forward. It's kind of like a down dog on your knees. I don't want you to dump into your chest yet. Keep your shoulders nice and strong. And if this feels good and you want to walk further, you can, or just stay here. And then slowly let your body come down to the mat as much as you can. Opening through your chest and shoulders. This is an intense, deep shoulder stretch. Don't push yourself. If you feel pain, you need to stop. And if this feels good, you can walk your hands forward a little bit more. Keeping your hips where they are. Keeping your knees pinned to the mat. Two more breaths. Belly is still engaged. And walk your hands back into a tabletop. And from here, we're going to go into a down dog. So in down dog, I want you to really claw your mat. So really grip your mat with your fingertips. Really push through this part of your hand right here, the palm between your forefinger and your thumb. Really push through that. Curl your toes. And then lift through your tailbone into down dog. Your legs don't need to be straight here. You can be here with your knees bent. But I really want you to push through your shoulders. Rotate your biceps so they're by your ears, but also bring your shoulders down away from your ears. So if you need to be here with your knees bent, that is fine. Or you can straighten and go ahead and you can find a little bit of movement here in your down dog. And then once you feel like you found some good movement and you just want to get ready, just go ahead and settle in. We're going to be here for a little bit. So holding this down dog, we're going to do a down dog twist. So we're going to push through that left hand, lift our right hand, and bring it back. If this is too much, you can come onto your knees and you can do a twist here. That is fine. I know that this is kind of tough, but I want you to try. So holding twist. Keeping your hips rooted, pushing through that arm. This is probably going to be the hardest part of the whole practice. The rest is going to be really gentle. And release, come back, come down to your knees for a second into child's pose. Go ahead and give your arms a rest. Then grip your mat again, tuck your toes, lift through your tailbone, push down through that right hand, lift your left hand and grab opposite ankle. Or just come right here. We're just doing a bit of a twist, opening up. Breathing. Come back to that down dog. And we're going to lift our right leg up to the sky. And I want you to bring it into your chest and bring it up between your hands. If you need to bring it here and use your hand to bring you up the rest of the way, that's fine. You're going to drop your back knee down. You can keep your toe tucked or you can untuck it. We're just going to be here in a low lunge. So a block is a good thing, a good prop to use right now. So if you want to hang out here, one hand on your knee, one hand on your block. Hang out here. or if you want to bring fingertips down, I want your hips pointed forward, softening your tailbone down. I don't want you tucking or rounding. Keep your spine long. And then we're just going to come back onto that back leg, flex that front foot into a half split. Come back into the half lunge. We're just going to flow through this a little bit. Back to a half split. And then into your low lunge again. Half split. Low lunge. Half split. Low lunge. We'll do that half split again. Come back into that half split. And what I want you to do now, instead of flexing that toe towards you, I want you to point it. This is going to stretch all through here. Flip-flop season is starting. So this is going to give you a nice good stretch here. If you're a runner, this is a great way to get rid of shin splints. So you're still holding yourself up. You can use a block. You can use 2 blocks here. I don't want you rounding. You want to have that nice, long, elongated spine. Come back into that half split. And then I want you to bring both hands to the inside of your foot. So if you're up on your fingertips or up on blocks again, that's fine, but I want your arms on the inside of your leg. And this is lizard pose, lizard lunge. So you can find a little bit of movement here. Find those sticky spots. Find where you need to settle and hold in that pose. Breathing. Good, now go ahead and bring your hands to the outside of your foot, untuck that back toe and lift it up. And you can either just step back to down dog, or you can really push through your hands, lift your hips, lift your foot off the mat, and come back into a down dog that way. We're gonna hold down dog for 3 breaths, actually 5 breaths. Now lift your left leg on an inhale, and then you're going to bring it into your chest and bring it up between your hands the best way that you can. And then you're going to drop your back leg. You can untuck your toes. Again, this is a good place to have a block and just get into those hips. You're going to be in this low lunge for a second. Making sure you're not rolling out onto that hip. You want to keep them square to the front. So trying to tuck that back hip forward. From this low lunge, we're going to lift our front toes and come back into that half split, straightening that leg. And then come back into the low lunge. And just flow through that a bit. Half split. Low lunge. Move with your breath. Half split. Low lunge. We'll do that about 2 more times. Half split. Low lunge. We're going to go to that half split again. And instead of flexing our toes, we're going to point our toes. Try and bring your toes as close to the mat as you can. Really feeling that shin stretch there. Those flip-flop muscles. Stretching them out. Making sure your belly is still engaged. You're still engaging your core, tightening it. You don't want to let your belly sag, because then you can dump into your low back and hurt your low back. Come back into that low lunge, and here in this low lunge again, we're going to bring our hands to the inside of our leg in lizard. Another variation of lizard, if this doesn't feel like it's a deep enough hip stretch for you and you want a little bit more, you can come down onto your forearms. You really want to try to squeeze that knee into your shoulder. You don't want it flopping out. That's a different stretch. You can give yourself a little bit of movement here if you need it to. Breathing in this lizard pose. Okay, and instead of stepping back to down dog, we're going to step up. So go ahead and bring that foot over to the edge of your mat. Untuck your back toes and step it forward into a wide-legged forward fold. So you can be here, you can bend your knees. Just fold for a second. If you want to take opposite hand to elbow and just sway a little bit, have your ribs resting on your thighs and just release your neck. Let it hang there. It holds like 10 pounds all day long. Just let it relax a bit. You want to straighten your legs, you can straighten your legs. Give yourself a little bit of a sway. Really root down through those feet though. Don't roll onto the outer edges or the inner instep of your feet. Try and have equal weight. And then from here, we're going to just squat down, lower our bum down into Malasana. So you can take your block here and you can sit on it if you want to. In Malasana, if you're up on your heels, you can even bring a block under your heels to support you wherever you are. You want your feet pointed out at about 45-degree angle. Spine is nice and tall and long. Tailbone is soft and neutral, and I'm going to use my elbows to push my knees apart to get into my hips a little bit more here. And again, you can find a little bit of movement, swaying side to side of it if you want to. And I'll hold it for a few more breaths. Don't hold your breath. And then go ahead and just release down onto your seat. You can bring your block with you. We're going to do cobbler's pose, which is where you bring the bottoms of your feet together and then just let your knees open. So again, you can use blocks to help support your knees. You can just stay here. Kind of open your feet towards the ceiling if you can. You can even come a bit closer if you are more flexible. Sitting up tall and breathing. You can even take this lying down if you would like to lay down in this pose. Rest a little bit more. Or you can fold into it. Lots of different variations. Just listen to your body and see what it needs. A few more breaths. Try not to clench your glutes. Release those muscles. Good. Go ahead and bring your knees back together. And we're going to go into a boat pose. So in boat pose, there are so many different variations, and I don't ever want you to compromise your form or your alignment. So we always want to have that nice tall spine. We don't want to be rounding, and we don't want to be arching and puffing our chest forwards. We want to have that nice long spine. And then you can hold onto your knees or the back of your thighs and then just lean back with your spine still being nice and elongated. And then you can lift one foot or both feet. And you can hang out here, or you can release, making sure that your core is engaged. It's going to protect your low back. And this is quite a bit of core work here. Sometimes I can straighten my legs. I am shaking, or your arms. But again, you don't want to compromise your alignment. You can do it. It's hard. My legs are shaking. Keep breathing. Your breathing here might feel a little bit more shallow and in your ribs because you're engaging that belly. And release. Good job. Okay, go ahead and straighten out your legs. If you have a strap here, you can use a strap. Don't feel like you need to. We're going to go into staff pose. So staff pose, first of all, is just your legs straight out in front of you. Again, sitting nice and tall, neutral pelvis. And you're trying to bring your toes to your face. So your inner thighs are spiraling inward, flexing your toes. And if you can bring your hands by your side, try and do that. Sitting up nice and tall, this uses a lot of muscles. And then we're just going to keep our legs the same, but go ahead and relax them, and we're just going to fold forward. So if you want to use your strap to kind of help you fold a little bit, you can do that. But I want you to keep your back nice and straight. Find your edge, find where you feel comfortable, and hang out there. Breathing. And once you're there in that spot, if you want to round out a little bit, you can. Trying to bring your toes to your face still. Breathing through this fold. And you can bend one knee and straighten that, and then bend the other knee. You can bend both knees or straighten both knees. Lots of options. This is your practice. Go ahead and sit back up. Now we're going to do a pigeon variation. So take your left leg and cross your ankle over your opposite knee. And you can stay here if you want to just stay here. If this is intense enough and this feels good and it's a good stretch, you can stay in this stretch. Or you can bring your bottom foot in flat. And you can use your hands behind you to support you. And you can take this seated pigeon. You can rock it a bit, getting into those hips. And if you still want a deeper stretch, keeping that foot on top. So stay here. If this feels good, stay here. If you want a little bit more, drop your bottom foot and bring ankle on knee, knee on ankle. I'll turn sideways so you can see. So this is called double pigeon or fire log. My feet are flexed to protect my knee. So make sure that you keep your feet flexed. And you can just sit here and breathe. If you're in this double pigeon, you can walk your hands forward as well. Take a bit of a fold if you'd like. Otherwise, just hold that seated pigeon with your legs straight or with your knee bent. But making sure that that bent knee, that your foot is flexed to protect your knee. If you're folded, come back out. Go ahead and unravel. Straighten your legs back out. We're back in that staff pose, so inner thighs spiraling inward, toes to your face, sitting up nice and tall, and then fold into it. And you can inhale to lengthen your spine, and then exhale to deepen that stretch. sit back up, and you're gonna bring your right foot, right ankle across your knee, and you can stay here. You can even take a fold here if this is where you wanna be. Or you can bend that foot. And it depends. So if you tried double pigeon on the other side and it doesn't feel like it's gonna work on this side, that's fine. Take what feels good on each side. Our bodies are not completely balanced and equal, so do what feels good for you. You can rock a bit here too. Or if you want to try and take that fire log double pigeon pose, you can take that again. So ankle on your knee and then knee over your ankle. So your legs are parallel. Sitting up tall, keeping that long spine, and you can fold forward. Sometimes I like to take my block here and just rest my forehead on my block. And just let my hips release. And you really don't want to hold your breath in these poses. They're intense and sometimes they can hurt, and our natural tendency is to hold our breath. But if you hold your breath, it's telling your body that you're in pain and you're scared. But breathing is going to help your body release and relax. So make sure that you're breathing. If you're doing nothing else but breathing, you're still doing yoga. A few more breaths here. Okay, go ahead and come up out of it. Release. Now we're going to do a seated open A, which is basically just a straddle. So I'm going to go sideways on my mat, and I'm going to take my feet out wide. I'm still sitting up tall, still engaging my belly. My feet are pointed straight up. Don't want to point them forward, don't want them spiraling anyways. You want to try and point your feet straight up to the sky and tighten through your legs, okay? So this is called seated open A or straddle. And we're just gonna hold here. So you can hold here, or you can get your block and you can crawl your hands forward a bit and rest your forehead on your block. I'm not quite there yet. Almost. But this is intense enough for me tonight. So I'm gonna stay right here and just breathe for a bit. Now we're gonna do a side stretch. So I'm gonna bring my hand, I can bring it on my leg, or I can bring it to the mat, to my inner thigh. I'm gonna sit up tall, I'm gonna reach my arm up, bending over. So again, I can bring my arm here or to the inner part of my leg. And I'm gonna try and spiral my chest open to the ceiling. So I'm trying to bring my shoulder back, and I'm trying to initiate my movement from my torso. My hips are still flat on the mat. You don't want that opposite hip point to be lifting up. You want to ground down. Really feeling that stretch through that side body. Inhale, come back up. Now we're gonna go to the other side. So go ahead and inhale your other arm up and exhale to the other side, rooting down through those hips. So if you wanna bring your hand, your forearm across actually to kind of help balance you and keep you pulled down, you can do that too. Trying to spin that rib cage, you can kind of take your ribs and kind of spiral them open, reaching up to the ceiling. So your arm can be here. This is fine. Or you can even just be right here, but you want to feel that stretch in your side body. Making sure you're breathing. And you don't have to be looking up, you can be looking down too, because that could be a lot of strain on your neck to be looking up. Or if you're looking down and you want to try and shift your gaze, you can bring your chin across your chest and look up. Sometimes that's a little easier on your neck. Inhale, come back up. Exhale. Good. So we're going to bend our left leg in, and we're going to stay, your hips are going to stay here. We're going to rotate your torso towards your straight leg. Now you can get your strap here. I'm going to double mine over because it's really long, and you can bring it around the ball of your foot. And we're just going to fold over that straight leg. So again, rotate from your trunk, from your torso, your hips are still grounded down, and then you're just going to fold over that bent knee. And you can use your strap to help pull you a little bit closer, or you can just hang out here. You can hang out here. This is a good place to be. These twists are really good to help with digestion, keeping things moving. And inhale, come back up, untwist. We're going to come to the other side, so go ahead and straighten that other leg back out and bend your other knee. Or if you're super flexible and want to keep your legs unbent the whole time, go for it. I'm not there yet, so to each his own. So again, we're going to rotate from our trunk, and then we're just going to fold over that straight leg. So you can use your strap around the ball of your foot to help bring you a little closer. You can just place your palms down. Inhale, come back up, untwist. And we're just going to take an easy seat here. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see me. So I'm just going to take an easy seat. And we're going to bring our hands behind us. So we're going to stretch our shoulders. So you can either take opposite hand, I'll show you this way, opposite hand to opposite elbow and grab here. Or you can clasp your hands so your palms are together and then straighten your arms as much as you can without puffing out your chest. So however you want to reach back, that's fine. You could, so either opposite hand to elbow, clasp and straighten. And then from here, we're going to just fold forward. And in this fold, you're going to try and bring your shoulders, try and bring your palms up towards your head. And you don't want your shoulders creeping up by your ears. You want to try and keep your shoulders down, but you're trying to bring your palms up to your head. Opening those shoulders, breathing. And come back up. And now we're going to do the other way. So now we're going to take eagle arms. So you're going to take your arms, face you so you can see. Take your arms wide. Take your right arm under your left. And then you're going to bend your elbows in and try to bring your palms to touch. Now your shoulders are still down away from your ears. And then you can try and bring your elbows away from you. This is really going to stretch your shoulders. Breathing. Try to remember which way you have done your eagle arms, because we're going to do it on the other side after we do another fold. So if your right arm is underneath, remember that, because you're going to want your left arm underneath next time. Go ahead and release. If you clasped your hands or took opposite elbow, I want you to take opposite of what you did. So if your right finger was on top, I want you, or your right pointer, take your left pointer and put it on top. It's gonna feel kind of weird. It's not the one that you would normally go for. So it's gonna feel weird. Make sure that your palms are touching. And then you're going to straighten your arms as far as you can. Shoulders are down. ribs are still knit in and my core is engaged, and then you're going to fold forward and bring your palms, keeping your palms together, bring them up overhead as much as you can. So if this is where you're at, this is a great place to be. I don't want you to push yourself to the point of pain, and you want your shoulders to stay down, away from your ears. Inhale, come back up. Release, and we're going to take eagle arms opposite. So if your right arm was underneath, then your left arm is going to go underneath this time. Bend your elbows, bring your palms to touch, shoulders are down and back, and you can lift your elbows and push them away from your body. You can even move your palms, your fingers, you can have them pointed up, or you can try to bring them out. Find where you need that stretch tonight. One more breath. And release. Okay, I want you to make your way down to your bellies. So laying flat on your mat. And then I want you to bring your elbows directly underneath your shoulders. Your toes are untucked. Your belly is on the mat. And your palms are flat. So this is Sphinx pose. And what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of try and pull our hands back. Without moving our elbows, we're just going to energetically pull back. Make sure that your core is still engaged and you don't want to be arching into your low back. So make sure you still have that neutral tailbone as well. Trying to pull your elbows back a bit and trying to broaden your collarbone. And this is Sphinx pose. And you can stay here, or if you'd like, you can push down through your hands and you can lift up a bit into Cobra. Now, if you have diastasis recti or any kind of ab separation, don't do this unless you really have a stronger core and you make sure that you're protecting that core and that low back. So we're in Cobra or in Sphinx. Go ahead and come back down. We're going to do what's called a half frog. So you're going to bring your left knee up towards your body. Okay? So you're still in that Sphinx pose, but now your leg is bent, and flex your foot. And what we're going to do, so my left leg is up, and I'm going to take my right hand and reach it towards my knee, and I'm going to lay down on that shoulder, and I'm going to twist open. My back just popped. You can just bring your hand to your hip. If you want to bring your hand to your hip here, or you can try and open your arm up to the side. Breathing. Good. Come back out of it. Place your elbow back down, bring it back, and we're in that Sphinx pose again. And then you can straighten that leg back out. So again, in Sphinx, palms are down, pulling your collarbone through your shoulders. You can stay here in Sphinx or push through your hands into Cobra, which is a little bit of a back bend. Come back down and then go ahead and bend that other knee at a 90-degree angle and flex your foot. And you're going to take opposite hand to your knee, come down onto your shoulder, and open up to the side. You can reach your arm out, just place it on your hip. Breathing. Try to bring your breath into those sticky spaces in your ribs and your side. Nice big exhale. And then twist. Coming back into that Sphinx. Unbend your leg. And then we're going to bring our palms down directly under our shoulders. Bend your knees and push yourself up into the tabletop position. We're going to do that rabbit pose that we took in the beginning. So you can either take it from tabletop and just bring your head down and stretch, but don't put pressure on your head again, okay? Or you can tuck your feet, come back on, rest your tush onto your heels, and then grab your heels with your hands, lightly put the top of your head down onto the mat and push your heels against your hands, feeling that stretch in your upper back and your neck. Two more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. And release. Go ahead and bring your knees wide, big toes touching. Bring your feet down to your heels and stretch out into a child's pose. And you're gonna be in this child's pose, and I'm gonna read this scripture over you again. And I want you just let it wash over you. See if there's a word or a phrase that God wants you to hear tonight. So here's what I want you to do, God helping you. Take your everyday, ordinary life, your sleeping, eating, going to work, and walking around life, and place it before God as an offering. Embracing what God does for you is the best thing you can do for Him. As you're in this child's pose, if you would like to take your hands and put your palms up, that can be a way of surrendering and placing your life before God as an offering. Feel free to do so. Embracing what God does for you is the best thing you can do for Him. Don't become so well adjusted to your culture that you fit into it without even thinking. Instead, fix your attention on God. You'll be changed from the inside out. Readily recognize what He wants from you and quickly respond to it. Unlike the culture around you, always dragging you down to its level of immaturity, God brings the best out of you, develops well-formed maturity in you. How can you more fully trust Jesus in the work that He is doing to bring you closer to Him? How can you more fully trust Him? Continue to breathe in this child's pose, either with your palms up in surrender, or even tenting your fingertips to open your heart a bit more. A few more breaths here, nice and deep. Engage your belly, push up through your hands and your knees, come up to tabletop again. And I want you just to go ahead and roll back onto your back. And you can bring your strap with you if you'd like. You might need it. And I want you to bring your knees into your chest, give yourself a nice big hug. And I want you to extend your left leg out long, keeping your right leg out long, keeping your left knee bent. And you can take your strap here and you can wrap it around the ball of your foot. Or you can take your 2-piece fingers and grab your big toe, or you can just grab the back of your calf. We're going to stretch our leg up towards the ceiling, trying to keep that bottom leg down. So if you need to, go ahead and put your hand on that hip, keeping it pushed down to the mat. try and push that heel up to the ceiling, like you're trying to stomp on the ceiling. Inhale, and an exhale. I want you to drop that foot, your leg down, so you can use that strap to open your leg up over to the side. Relaxing your leg and glute, keeping that opposite hip down. Or you can open your arm to the opposite side and look over to that arm. Bring that leg back up. And you can either take it straight. I'm going to bend my knee here. Actually, yeah, just bend your knee. This will be a bit easier. Bend your knee here and bring it across your body. So this is what we did in our Sphinx pose, but we're just entering into it a different way. Let your knee be heavy. Breathing into that twist. Inhale your leg back to center. Bend your other knee. Give yourself another nice big hug. Then go ahead and straighten out your left leg, keeping your right knee bent. And you can use your strap. You can grab behind your calf or use your 2 peace fingers and grab your big toe and straighten your leg up to the sky. So you can even hold behind your thigh here. And if your knee is bent, that's fine, but I want you to try and, again, stomp that heel up to the ceiling, keeping your other hip down. Try and relax your glutes. Inhaling. Exhaling your leg open to the side, keeping that hip rooted down. So don't let your body, all of your body twist to the side. Keep it rooted down. This side is much tighter for me, so my leg cannot go as far. You can bend your knee also if that feels better. Bring your knee back to center. Bend your knee. You're going to bring it across your body. Just let it be heavy. And then extend your arm over to the side. So same arm as bent knee is out, straight to the side. Inhaling, bring your knees back into your chest, give yourself a nice big hug again. You can go ahead and tuck your head into your knees and really squeeze. And go ahead and release. We're going to go into what's called fish pose. I like to use my block for fish, and I like to take it and put it kind of right between my shoulder blades. So you can set it on your mat. You might need to adjust it after you lay down. So we're going to just lay on our blocks here. Find what feels good. And your head's just going to hang back. You can even take another block. If you don't want your head to hang back, you can take a block and have your head go onto your block. And you can keep your feet flat on the mat, or you can extend your legs out long, flexing your toes. And then just let your arms hang heavy by your side. Letting your heart open. Surrendering to transformation. Where does God want you to be transformed? What does he want you to surrender? Breathing here. Use your elbows and your hands to kind of just bring yourself back up. Traditional fish, you have your hands here and you're using your arms to support you, but I really like using the block. Go ahead and get rid of your block there. And we're gonna lay back down and we're gonna go into happy baby, and I'm gonna give you the option here to go into a plow if that's in your practice. So if plow is in your practice, you can go ahead and take it. Otherwise, bring your knees into your chest and open your knees out wide, grabbing your feet, grabbing your ankles, inside, outside, doesn't matter, but you want your low back and your tailbone to try and stay on the mat. Grab your feet and open your feet up to the sky. Like what we were doing earlier with our legs straight, we're trying to stomp our heels onto the ceiling. Try and do that. You can rock side to side, happy baby. Again, if plow is in your practice and you want to take it here, go ahead. Otherwise, just stay here in happy baby. You can keep your knees bent, or you can extend one leg, extend the other leg. Or the advanced variation is extending both legs and having your toes touch the ground. If you can do that, go for it. I'm good right here. Exhaling that low back to the ground. If you're in plow, come back out. Getting ready to come into our final pose, our peak pose, our resting pose. Go ahead and release your feet. Your feet flat onto the ground, and extend your legs out long and wide, letting your feet be floppy. Bringing your hands, palms up by your side, closing your eyes. Releasing your breath, releasing all of your muscles. Feeling heavy. Letting your body feel the benefits of this practice we just completed. Feeling more open than when we started. Just take some deep belly breaths. Just go ahead and rest here. Letting your tongue drop from the roof of your mouth. Relaxing your face. Maybe parting your lips or opening your mouth, breathing through your mouth. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Bringing movement and life back into your body. You're twisting your ankles and your wrists, keeping your eyes closed. Bending your knees, bringing your feet flat onto the mat. Extending your arms up over your head. And then rolling to your side. Using your arm as a pillow. Just hanging out in this fetal position for a second. Eyes are still closed. And when you're ready, go ahead and gently lift yourself back up into a comfortable seat. Eyes are still closed. We're going to take a few inhales, keeping your eyes, just keep them closed here still. Inhaling your arms up to the sky. Inhale. Exhale your arms back down. Do some audible inhales and exhales with me. Inhale up. Exhale down. One more time. Inhale up. Exhale down. Go ahead and inhale your arms up. Bring your palms to touch over your head. And bring the knuckles of your thumbs in between your eyebrows. Remembering to think good thoughts, think positive thoughts. Being grateful. Bring your thumbs to your lips, remembering to speak life and speak kindness to those around you. And then bring your hands down to your heart center, remembering to be kind and to be loving, because you are loved. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for those who are able to join me tonight. I pray that you would bless them, help us to have good rest. Thank you for giving us the ability to move. Thank you for your word, God, and I pray that the words would just continue to wash over us and that we would continue to be transformed into your likeness. In your name I pray. Amen. Go ahead and open your eyes. Thank you, guys.